But if you truly cared about the American people, and if you really felt like Donald Trump was a threat to democracy itself, you'd be hitting RFK up. And this just proves that there is like a very deep resistance to RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, two people that the country would really benefit from. But they kind of strong-armed every other Democratic nominee and basically said you cannot compete with Joe Biden or Kamala Harris. They're trying to find someone that can beat Donald Trump and also is willing to be a puppet. They think for some reason that might be Kamala. I don't think it's going to be Kamala. I really think that in some weird way we're going to see Newsom weasel his way in and he's going to be on the ticket. They don't care about you. They don't care about me. They just want to control everything. Hello, everybody. You are listening or watching Chatting with Candice. I'm your host, Candice Horbacz. We're going to start off today with some shout outs. I want to say thank you so much for all those cups of coffee that you guys have been giving. It means the world to me, and all of those donations go directly back into the podcast. Thank you so much, Stardust, for a bunch of coffees, 5 coffees. James Montablano, Andrew, and Adarex. Thank you so much for those cups of coffee. If you want your shout out or if you want to just donate to the podcast, go to chattingwithcandice.com and click that little link that says buy me a coffee and you'll get your name shout out on here. I also want to do a couple of shout outs to some premium Patreon members. Thank you to Hector Marrero, Thomas Levins, Kevin Rogers, and Shanley McCauley. Thank you for being subscribed to the Patreon. As you know, you get early access to episodes, you get to sneak peeks at our guests, and you can even contribute to the conversation by submitting your questions. Last bit of housekeeping. If you are on chattingwithcandice.com, click that little link where you can give us your email address. We are not going to spam you. We have some really cool products and launches coming up in the near future, and you will be the first in the know to know when all of those are launching live and how you can participate in some upcoming live retreats with some insane guests and coaches. So make sure you put your email there. I think that's it. We are doing another solo episode because we are giving the people what they want. I had a panic attack the last time I did it. I literally was just laying on my bench in my room, self-deprecating about how I shouldn't be doing this and I'm a big fat imposter. And that video crushed it. So everyone's like, please do another one. So here I am. I'm a little nervous. I'm still very new, but we're doing another solo episode and we're going to figure out what the F is going on in the world today, because I feel like we are living in a reality TV script written by Ryan Seacrest, and I don't know what's happening. And I think the rest of the world is watching, and it's just embarrassing. It's embarrassing. So let's figure out what's happening. Well, Joe Biden has dropped out of the race to be president of the United States. He announced that to us on X. We got broken up with on X on a Sunday. No presidential seal. People are arguing whether or not that's even his signature. Everyone is asking where he's been. It's been, I think, 5 days since anyone has seen him. We have an alleged recording or phone call that came in. The authenticity of whether that was AI or that was him is up for debate. I think it sounded like there weren't enough stutters, or like he has like a weird speech pattern. Maybe I need a tinfoil hat. I don't know. I think it's very sus. Is he even alive? Alex Jones is asking the question. I think a lot of people are asking the question. We deserve an answer. I think it's very strange in these times. We just had an attempted assassination on former President Donald Trump, and then Biden gets sick with COVID. There's allegedly an health emergency where he is being rushed privately through Las Vegas. I think the American people just deserve to know what's going on. Who is in fact running the country? Whoever has been for the last 3.5 years is probably the answer. Obviously not him. I don't know how more people aren't saying, if you're not fit to run for re-election, how are you fit to run the country for the next 6 months? I think that is a very reasonable question. People that say, oh, just because he's dropping out doesn't mean anything else, I would argue. I would argue against that. I think we deserve better than someone who's clearly suffering from mental decline, dementia, possibly Alzheimer's. It's just, that's not who anyone voted for, you know? It's supposed to be a democracy, not a government run by shadow figures. But I digress. It is also being speculated that Biden is not dropping out because he's old, but because the DNC is forcing him out because he's losing badly. I think that that's an obvious. I did not think that they were going to actually run him. I thought that they were going to announce Newsom by now. I'm kind of surprised that they haven't. I think there's speculation that they wanted to run Hillary or Michelle Obama. I think that Hillary wouldn't make any sense because she is very unlikable, and that's been proven time and time again. And then obviously there's the issues with who she happens to be married to. The Clintons don't really have a squeaky clean name anymore, so that doesn't seem like a viable option. I think Michelle Obama could probably sweep the floor, if I'm being honest. I think that she would be a very formidable opponent. But I honestly think it's going to be Newsom. I've been saying it. They've kind of been testing him out unofficially. He was born and bred for this job. He just looks exactly like that beautiful, greasy politician that you would just expect to want and love and thrive off of power. So I am going to predict it right now that we are going to see Newsom on the ticket. But we'll see. We shall see. I don't see how Kamala is going to be she is just so unlikable. She's so unlikable. She polls terribly. And I don't think anyone in the Democratic Party even wants her to be running. So if you want to win, that's not your ticket, folks.
I also want to close with one message to the Democrat Party. End this farce that Joe Biden is going to be your nominee. We know he's not even the president of the United States. He's a puppet for the managerial class. So have the guts to step up and be honest about who you're actually going to put up so we can have an honest debate. Biden should step aside, end his candidacy now, so we can see whether it's Newsom or Michelle Obama or whoever else. All right, just tell us the truth so we can have an honest debate.
Ambassador.
And that's Vivek, everybody. Just how prolific that man is. That was back. When did that get posted? Maybe we can add that into lower thirds. Oh, November. So that was a video from November. So I think it's kind of obvious. We all knew he wasn't going to run, but for some reason, the American people, us plebs, we did not deserve to know the truth. Oh gosh, let's look at this. We have politicians calling for Biden to make a public appearance because there are rumors that he might be dead. We kind of just mentioned that. I don't think that that's an insane thing to speculate on or to ask for proof of life. I don't think that that is outrageous. But of course, let's look to Lowe and Boebert for some sanity. I demand proof of life from Joe Biden today by 5 p.m. He needs to get in front of some camera and discuss if he's aware that he dropped out. Hiding is completely unacceptable. And that has 6 million views from July 22nd. So Kamala Harris has gathered more than enough delegates to win the nomination, 1,976. Yikes. What is interesting is if we go back in time just a little bit, we weren't allowed to have a Democratic primary, which everyone wanted. The people wanted that. I know that there have been cases where we haven't had a primary for whatever reason. I think that given the state of the world and how divided everyone is, I think we deserved to see people face off and their acuity and what their policies were going to be, how they differentiate from each other. But they kind of strong-armed every other Democratic nominee and basically said you cannot compete with Joe Biden or Kamala Harris by doing so. They seem to have had Joe Biden drop out so last minute so that they can't really push anyone else in besides Kamala. But again, I really think that in some weird way, we're going to see Newsom weasel his way in and he's going to be on the ticket. I obviously could be wrong, but that is just something I've seen kind of I've seen coming. All $240 million in donor funds will stay with Kamala Harris, or else it goes back to the donors. That's interesting. Imagine that you donate. Well, here's the thing. If people were already donating and the money was expected to go to Joe Biden, something tells me it wasn't going for that person to win or run the country. It's for everyone else who's been doing it. Maybe Jill, but definitely not Joe. So I don't see that being any different with Kamala. She doesn't really seem to have a mind of her own. And I think that's exactly why she's in this position, because she's going to play ball with whoever is throwing said ball. They want to win. Every party wants to win. That's kind of the whole point of their game. They're trying to find someone that can beat Donald Trump and also is willing to be a puppet. They think for some reason that might be Kamala. I don't think it's going to be Kamala. We had RFK, who's been posting on TikTok and probably some other platforms videos of him saying if the DNC is looking for someone that can beat Trump, that his number is available online. Unfortunately, they're not going to pick him because he is anti-establishment and he's not going to be controlled. He's not. He's going to do what he thinks is best. So I don't see that coming. But if you truly cared about the American people and if you really felt like Donald Trump was a threat to democracy itself, you'd be hitting RFK up. And this just proves that there is like a very deep resistance to RFK and Tulsi Gabbard, two people that the country would really benefit from being in a leadership position. But they don't care about you. They don't care about me. They just want to control everything as much as possible, and they're going to put someone up there that will make that a possibility for them. So unfortunately, that means you, me, the American people, we are the ones that lose out in all of that. It is speculated that anyone that goes up against Kamala is going to be blacklisted. I think that the exception to that rule, again, is going to be Newsom, because he's basically royalty. We know he's related to Pelosi, and he is like the beautiful governor of California. So I think that he's someone that can escape that blacklisting if he does, in fact, run. Probably the same for Michelle Obama. We love our legacy families. And the official nominee is going to be selected at the DNC in August. So right around the corner. Let me know in the comment section who you think the official nominee is going to be for the Democratic Party. We should, what is it called? Like when you have the brackets, like the NBA, like we should do that. And we'll have Newsom, we'll have Michelle Obama, Hillary Clinton, and Kamala. And let's see what's going to happen. Let's make it fun, right? Let's win somehow. Public opinion. Some Democrats are rallying behind RFK Jr. as they don't believe Kamala can beat Trump. Duh. She doesn't stand a chance. And I actually really like RFK. There's a lot that I like. I think that he is going to clean up the food. He's going to clean up big agriculture, big food. He's going to clean up big pharma. I think that he, if anyone, has the capability of making the food I put on my table actual real food for my kid and not something that is just doused in pesticides. But again, the Democrats don't want to win. Otherwise, they would have let RFK. They would have let RFK in on a primary, and they wouldn't have forced him out of the party, making him run as an independent, which is basically a kiss of death. So that's not going to happen. Although the people would love to see it happen. And here's the thing too. If you really like the man and you want to vote for him, do it. Don't do this. I'm not going to do it because he's not going to win, because there's so many people that say that. And if everyone were to vote for the person that they wanted and believed in, regardless if they thought other people were going to do it, he would actually have a shot. If you look at how he's polling, if everyone that believed in him voted for him, he would actually have a shot. So I think take that into consideration. So a couple things that people are noticing about Joe Biden's resignation from the race that seems suspicious. There's no official letterhead. The signature is different. It's never underlined. So your signature is muscle memory, so it looks almost identical every single time. So that's interesting. Jill Biden replied with a heart emoji. Seems appropriate. No press conference, just a tweet. Very unofficial. And again, if he's not fit to run for re-election, what makes him fit to lead the country for the remaining of his term? He's not, is the short answer. People think Joe Biden is dead or close to dying, and Democrats are covering it up. Charlie Kirk received information that Joe Biden was rushed to the hospital due to a medical emergency. Kamala says, I knew you were on the phone call, not the recording. Silly goose. Joe Biden hasn't sounded so fluent and articulate in years. And that's what I was saying. He has so many stutters and weird tics when he talks. And that was just so clean, so fluid, very few breaks in what he was saying. It just did not seem accurate. And if you look up some people that have a ton of hours, like for example, Joe Rogan's, they have a lot of fake ads for him. And you can tell like the cadence is off. So he probably is. He's got to be number one as far as most hours out there of material for you to do machine learning. And if they can't get him, they're not going to get Biden as clearly either. So if you look and compare it to how he's been speaking in the past, it does not sound like Joe. Where are you, Joe? Just in 14 minutes ago. So this kind of undoes the other 20 minutes. But here, you heard it here soonish. President Joe Biden seen in public for the first time in nearly a week, debunking conspiracy theories online. The development comes after bogus reports shared online that Biden was in hospice care and was unexpected to make it through the night. Those claims were completely false. Biden's doctor said the president has recovered from COVID. He never manifested a fever, and his vital signs remained normal, and his lungs remained clear. This is from Colin Rugg, and we have the video of him moving very slowly up the stairs to his jet. He's alive, folks. I'm glad we just checked that out. What I do think is interesting, too, that I haven't mentioned in this episode is there's still this run that's happening with saying that Donald Trump is a threat. He's a threat to national security. He's a threat to democracy itself. And we just had an assassination attempt. So those hyperbolic words where you are exaggerating everything and making everything feel like it is life or death for some people that still believe this bullshit that's going around called mainstream media. You get someone who is a Looney Tune and then they act on it because they think that it is them. Like it is their manifest destiny to stop the evil orange dictator and save democracy in the West. And that is just bullshit. So can we have some kind of responsibility? Can we all agree to play by the same rules, have decent rules of engagement, and go back to when politics were talking about your policy, what you saw for the future, what you wanted for the American people, instead of reputation damage and trying to tear someone else down. It's like such catty high school bullshit. So instead of doing that, like if you're attacking someone else and you're trying to control their public perception, that tells me you don't have a lot of policies. You don't have a lot of plans for the future. You're not trying to shake things up or actually make anything better for the average Joe. So can we go back to that? Can we go back to policy or politics with manners and humanity and some civility and not all of this bullshit and gossiping and just name calling and threats and lies? It's not good for anybody. And honestly, it's making the world a worse place. So I guess we'll end on this note. End of Wokeness tweeted, breaking: Alex Soros endorses Kamala Harris. He's in charge of the $25 billion family empire, which Elon Musk responded, I'd like to thank Alexander Soros for not keeping everyone in suspense about who the next puppet will be. And with that, the internet never loses. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. If you want to give me 5 stars, please do so. It helps the algorithm and searchability and yada, yada, yada. I love you all, and I'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.